Welcome back to the Exeter City Tactical Rebuild, where we attempt to implement Pep Guardiola's elite tactical philosophy with the lower league team in Football Manager. We're paying close attention to his philosophy at Barcelona to guide us in our tactical transformation of a smaller team, but occasionally we borrow principles from his current approach at Manchester City to take us out of tough spells. We'll go through how all of this works in the video. This is the third episode of the series, and in this episode, we'll see how well or how badly our season is going. Also, I've made adjustments to my extreme tiki-taka system for the lower league sides. That's the tactic that we're using in this rebuild. We'll look at the tactical tweaks, and in case you missed episode 1 and episode 2, we established in the first episode that this is going to be a difficult challenge. It's one that we're willing to take. We also signed some coaches to help us implement the system, and in episode 2 we were able to build our tactics to help us start the season. You can catch up with those episodes, and if you have any recommendations for our tactical approach or any players with good passing and work rate in the lower leagues that you can recommend for us to sign, do well to let us know in the comment section. You can also recommend coaches too, and if you just like to follow the journey, that's cool too. Remember to subscribe to the channel so you can stay in touch. Our first game of the season was away at Wycombe Wanderers, and we were in control for most of the game. We went 2-0 up in the first 15 minutes and controlled the game, but just before halftime, Wycombe noticed we had let our guard down and pulled a goal back. I got nervous at this point because in my experience of playing FM, I was expecting them to actually turn it around, but 5 minutes later we doubled our lead and got away with 3 points. We travelled to Sutton for a Carabao Cup first round tie with the League 2 side, and I sort of underestimated Sutton here, fielding a team of youths and a few first team players. We were still able to play our tiki-taka possession football and we got the first goal. As expected, we controlled the game well, but after an hour, Sutton grew into the game and snuck a goal back, and it took us up until the 82nd minute, after bringing on some of our first team players by the way, before we could actually score the winner. The winning habit continued with a 1-0 win at home to Blackpool, but it was after our encounter with Portsmouth that I started to notice the weaknesses in our squad and in our tactical setup. We had a disappointing performance at Fratton Park and Pompey ran away 2-0 winners. We bounced back with a 2-0 away win at newly promoted Carlisle, but that didn't mask our problems in midfield and in attack. We created a lot of chances but struggled to put them away, and the next game against Reading, the team completely fell apart. The Royals played a flat 4-4-2 and continued to hurt us down the wings. They hit us 4-1 at home, and I was forced to adjust the tactic in response to facing Reading again 4 days later in the Carabao Cup second round. We did better in this second attempt against Reading, but the game ended in a stalemate and Reading was able to beat us on penalties. We had to wait for 2 more games before getting our next win over Cheltenham Town the following month. We've been playing with a 4-3-3 DMY just like Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team, but we've mirrored the tactic to better suit Exeter City. So instead of the attacking fullback, which is Dani Alves, playing on the right hand side, that role now appears on the left as a complete wingback. So on the right side we have a conservative fullback on support. I kept the DM as a halfback, and in central midfield I also mirrored the Xavi and Iniesta role, so I have my deep line playmaker playing on the left hand side instead of the right where Xavi would normally be, and I have a Medalla playing in the Iniesta role, staying on the right hand side. It hasn't been easy, and the game against league leaders Oxford brought us straight back down to earth. After a 2-0 defeat, I decided to ditch the high press and play with a mid block. This was because most of my attacking players don't have the aggression to pull off a high press. Similarly, information from the Data Hub proves that we allow our opponents a lot more passes per defensive action in their initial third of the pitch. If you don't know what this means, it means that the opponent is completing more passes in their defense and playing out of the back pretty well, despite our team playing with a high press and more intense trigger press. And since we play with a high line and we can't recover the ball, we are conceding a lot of clear-cut chances early on. So I decided to adjust. The changes helped us secure a 1-0 win over Northampton Town, but a 3-0 defeat to promotion candidates Charlton Athletic proved that there's still a lot more work to be done. I also made a tweak to the 4-3-3 shape, switching from the half-back to a deep line playmaker on support, and then playing with an inverted fullback to form a back 3. I took this page from Pep Guardiola's current approach with Josko Vardio and Nathan Ake at Man City. But I've brought in a key element in Pep Guardiola's Barcelona team into the mix. I started with the pressing forward in this team, but that contributed to our pressing issues up front, so I changed from a pressing forward to a false 9. Despite our struggles this season, was sitting in 7th place and leveled on points with Bolton and Reading. Our fans and the board are quite happy with the situation we're in, and here I was thinking that I'm doing a terrible job. There's still a long way to go in the season, I have to admit. The subtle tweaks we've made to the tactic have contributed to our progress in the last 12 games. I've brought a couple of players in on loan, Matthew Dennis as a forward from MK Dons and Dylan Williams from Chelsea to play as a left-sided attacking complete wingback. I'm looking forward to more signings. I do need a defensive midfielder who can play as a halfback, so we do plan to go into the transfer market to see who is available. So Exeter City is currently broke, so we can't really buy anyone. We'll have to rely on loan moves or free transfers. Or we may try to sell players to make some room to sign more in the January transfer window. In episode 4, we'll look at our progress in January and try to make some signings. You can recommend some signings for me, or you can share your scouting approach that is helpful for lower leagues, and we'll use this to find players in the next episode. So that's the update for our Exeter City tactical rebuild. We'll be back much later with episode 4, and if you enjoyed this episode, remember to like the video and also subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. I wonder how many free agents will be available in January.